Hi everybody, this is an update on the Brewster Buffalo landing gear that I'm producing for a friend of mine, John. This has been a pretty difficult project, but it was definitely worth it because I've learned so much about how to use my 3D printing to make parts align and all the axes work. What was important to me was to make all the parts of this adjustable so that when John puts it into his airplane, he can get it to all line up and work pretty easy, I believe. The gear mechanism itself that operates, I just designed in my head and then applied it into the 3D world and got all the parts to move. The electronics in this is done by a friend of mine named Berger, and he is really good at motor controllers that work off the limit switches that I designed into it. So you've been watching the gear cycle here, and it cycles just beautifully. Some of the challenges in this was I had to braze the gray struts that pull the gear up and down to make sure that they were strong enough and they really aligned. And there is some steel parts in this which bothered me because it does add weight, but it was really the only option I had because I just don't have the ability to weld aluminum. So I brazed up the gray struts. The rust color gear legs is actually made out of carbon fiber. And I made molds. Actually, I made a plug out of 3D, printed it with ABS. I smoothed it with acetone, pulled a mold from it, and then out of my molds, I produced the fiberglass. The carbon fiber. So these are hollow carbon fiber gear legs, and I'm really excited how they turned out, and they're very scale. The steel shaft that's in there, the hollow tube that's in there for the gear strut itself is basically impregnated in there with carbon fiber with weaves wrapped around it and through it, so it's not going to fail. I did use a little bit of aluminum. Right here you can see the aluminum plate that the gear axle's on, and I did that so that John would have some adjustability of screwing that into a plywood block in the wing and make sure it works right. So really most of the material in this is ABS that's 3D printed, the steel that I needed to braze for the gray Retract struts, and the carbon fiber that I did with the gear legs themselves. The motor is a 12 volt kind of hobby electric 12 volt motor. The lead screw came from a MasterCar, and I used some thrust bearings so that it wouldn't put any force on the motor shaft itself. Probably the thing that makes this the most difficult was getting the travel of the lead screw to work with all the geometry. The Jerry Bates plans are really awesome, but they basically just show the travel distance. They don't really show you anything else, and they don't show you any of the way that the gear strut itself is designed, like if there's an oleo inside, the oleo type strut, which was kind of hard to design excuse me, because I had to basically create a pin within the shaft so that the gear strut itself would have some cushion. The drawings don't show that at all, and I didn't want him to have just a really hard direct force going into the gears on landing, so you can see that they do pivot. If the plane's under 25 pounds, these gears are going to do great. So thanks for watching my videos all, and have a wonderful day.